Hello students, let's start our next topic, radioactive decay law. This is also called as law of radioactive decay, either of the way. Okay, so first of all, this law is actually given from the experimental study, which we can call like whenever we have a radioactive decay, how it is actually happening. So on what basis or how it is actually happening will be explained by using this. So a proper explanation for the process, that is what we call this law. Okay, so based on the experimental observations and analysis of certain radioactive materials, Rutherford and Soddy formulated this theory, which is nothing but this radioactive decay law. And according to that, according to this theory, after decay of a nucleus, the new product, which we call it as daughter of the nucleus, has totally different physical as well as chemical properties, which means yesterday we have seen the equation, right? X gives rise to some Y and some radiation and as well as some energy, and that Y whatever you are actually calling, and that is completely a different having that particular daughter is having a different, or you can call it as that nucleus is having completely or totally different physical and as well as chemical properties. And do you remember that Soddy-Fawson displacement laws that yesterday we have discussed, Soddy-Fawson laws regarding the formulation of the laws? So I told you right in the last session that regarding that fourth we will discuss, the third point we will discuss again. So that is what this. Okay, so according to the radioactive decay law, the rate of radioactive decay dN by dt, I will call it as radioactive decay, number of nuclei disintegrating per time. The rate of radioactive decay or the number of nuclei decaying per unit time at any instant is directly proportional to the number of nuclei, present at that instant, and is independent of the external physical conditions like temperature, pressure, chemical composition, etc. Anyway, the radioactivity doesn't depend on all these factors like physical conditions and all. So dN by dt, the rate of disintegration, is directly proportional to the number of nuclei present at that time. So this is what the relation. So the rate of disintegration or the rate of radioactivity or the number of nuclei decaying per unit time, are directly proportional to the number of nuclei present at that instant. Suppose if capital N is the number of radioactive atoms present at a time t and N naught is the initial number of atoms, N suffix naught, N naught are the initial atoms, and the radioactivity which is nothing but a number of radioactive atoms present at time t, and N naught is the initial number of radioactive nuclei, which we have represented here, you can see here. Okay, then for such situation, if dN is the atoms disintegrating in time dt, and can I frame this, isn't it or not? Okay, so dN by dt directly proportional to N. So you can ask me, sir, what about this negative sign? What about that? The negative sign indicates that as time increases, N decreases. So I'll write down here. And what about that lambda? This, because there is a proportionality symbol, in order to remove that we have to add a constant, right? And that is what? And lambda is called decay constant or disintegration constant, while negative sign indicates as t increases, N decreases. That's it, right? As time increases, N decreases. Now look at this equation, dN by dt equal to, I'm going to separate this variable separable method, dN by N equal to minus lambda dt. Integrate this, log n to the base c equal to minus lambda t, integral dt is t, so minus lambda t plus c, where c is the integration constant. Initially at time t equal to 0, what are the, how many number of nuclei we are having? N naught atoms. So if I go for the substitution, what I can get here? Log n naught to the base c, and at time t it is 0, so c. So have we got the value of c now here? So c is nothing but log n naught base c. Substitute in this equation. So log n to the base c minus log n naught base c is equal to minus lambda t. Just nothing, I have brought this c to this side. So how I can write down this? Log of n by n naught to the base c equal to minus lambda t. Have you understand? At time t equal to 0, we had n naught atoms refers to this is the boundary condition. So in this boundary condition will apply whenever we have to find out the integration constant. Previously we have solved this kind of methods many times. So are we clear with this? So log to the base e n by n naught equal to minus lambda t. And how I can write on this? N by n naught equal to e power minus lambda t, or n equal to n naught e power minus lambda t. What we can say? What kind of decay it was? This shows that number of radioactive nuclei decreases exponentially with time, minus lambda t, right? So decreases exponentially with time. This equation is known as decay law or the law of radioactive decay, and of course it is an exponential. You can notice here, right? E power minus lambda t. Now for this equation, if you consider log on both sides, how I can write down? Lambda t equal to log n naught by n. Can I write down? Of course, if I take out minus common, just continuation of this, or the we can say like alternate. Lambda t equal to, can I write it as ln n naught by n. Observe this carefully. Here it is n by n naught. I have taken out negative sign common. If I take out minus common, log n naught minus log n to the base e equal to minus lambda t. Minus minus cancels out. So I will be left over with the same rate. Lambda t equal to ln of n naught by n. From this I am writing. So now how I can write down t from this? T equal to 1 by lambda into ln of n naught by n. Of course ln refers to natural logarithm. Nothing new. The same equation I am representing in a different way when we need the time. In what time interval? Are we clear with this? Suppose if we plot a graph between number of atoms which we have taken and the time in halves. This was anyway, this particular graph again will get this will get this nature because exponential decay, right? So gradually decreasing. Initially total number of atoms were many. As the time passes on, number of nuclei are getting smaller and smaller. In the next topic it is getting reduced. So in the next topic we have a half-life. There again we will discuss about this graph. No need to worry about this regarding these values and all. Okay, now let's discuss about some of the graphs which we will come across, which is nothing but various relations. Suppose if I consider along x-axis the time and along y-axis number of nuclei left. Number of nuclei left. If I consider along y-axis, initially what is the value? It will be, this is n naught. From n naught the value will keep on decreases. The same graph. Are you getting the point here? As the time passes on, number of nuclei left. What do you mean by left? Undecayed or undisintegrated. This is what will reduce as rate. As the time increases by, will increase. If you want to speak in reverse sense, let me plot, which is nothing but as time, number of nuclei decayed, reverse I am speaking about, number of nuclei decayed, went for the disintegration. For that, how it will be? From 0 it will go on increase, and after a certain time it reaches the constant, which is nothing but the maximum value, and here it is again n naught. Did you notice the reverse of the graphs? This is number of nuclei left and this is number of nuclei decayed. Reverse of the. Suppose if I consider time along x-axis and log of n naught or logarithm of n, we can call it as logarithm value for the number of nuclei at that time. If I plot, the value will be a straight line, y equal to mx plus secant straight you can call, and this value max is nothing but this max, it's ln of n naught. We already know this value, right? So if I consider like this one. Anyway, later we have one more topic called calculation of the decay constant and all from the graph. Again we will use this third graph, determination of decay constant and half-life from a radioactive sample. There again we will discuss about this third graph. So are we clear with this? Remember ma, these are the three graphs which will come across more commonly, more oftenly in this chapter, right? Now let's look about the next topic called activity. Activity is nothing but the number of decays per unit time. Let me write down the number of decays per unit time is called activity, or you can also call it as decay rate. This activity, or you can call it as decay rate, at what rate it is actually happening. And how we can give this? We are actually speaking about the number of decays, right? Number can't be negative because as the time passes on. So I can write down this to be as magnitude of R is nothing but modulus of dN by dt, because earlier in the previous topic we got this to be as dN by dt equal to minus no. So that's what I'm speaking about. Number of decays, can't it be like this? So now I can write it as d by dt of what was the value of n naught e power minus lambda t, isn't it or not? Now can I write it as R equal to lambda n? Can I write down? Isn't it or not? N naught e power x 0 to e power x into again for this, so lambda, anyway for that, anyway magnitude, right, we are speaking about, so that's why I have removed. So lambda, again n is nothing but n naught e power minus lambda t, right? So we'll be left over with n naught minus lambda into e power minus lambda t, e power x 0 to e power x and minus of. So anyway magnitude, right, we are speaking about, so R equal to lambda n, or which is nothing but lambda, and again n is nothing but n naught e power minus lambda t. Are you getting the point here? So we can replace this particular thing to be in a different way, like look at this term lambda n naught. I am going to replace this with like R equal to R naught e power minus lambda t, where R naught is nothing but lambda n naught. Okay, since because we can call this to be like a initial activity, we can call this to be. And how we can call a time t equal to 0, e power 0 is 1, so that's what I'm speaking about, e power 0 will be 1, right? So initial activity which is called, so R naught equal to lambda n naught is called initial activity at t equal to 0. Are we clear with this, ma? Right. Suppose if you plot a graph for time t and for versus R, as time passes on decreases, right? So activity will keep on reduces. This is what the maximum R naught at time t equal to 0. It will keep on decreases. Suppose if a nuclei can decay simultaneously by a process, and if we have activities like R1, R2 and so on, different kinds of, the resultant activity will be nothing but summation of all this, R1 plus R2 plus and so on Rn. If nuclei decay simultaneously more than one process is called parallel decay. So if a nucleus undergo for more than simultaneously, remember, if nucleus undergo simultaneously more than one decay, one process, or else you can call more than one process, it is called parallel decay. Remember, just for the theoretical purpose it will be useful, parallel decay. And of course for all the individual process, if we have R1, R2 and so on Rn, the total decay can be given as R is nothing but summation of R1 plus R2 plus and so on plus Rn. Are we clear with this? So that was the theory regarding the activity. Okay, ma? Right. Now let's look about the units of radioactivity, a most important one which we have to discuss a little about. The SI unit of activity is becquerel, and the other units are Curie and Rutherford. And 1 becquerel is equal to 1 decay per second, and 1 Rutherford equal to 10 power 6 decays per second, and 1 Curie, symbol is Ci, is nothing but 3.7 into 10 power 10 3.7 into 10 power 10 decays per second. Remember, Curie is almost or approximately equal to the activity of 1 gram of pure radium, if you consider. Okay, and this what the various relations you can see here. Okay, are we clear with this regarding the radioactivity? Have you noticed all these? Curie, Rutherford, Becquerel, all these are the names of the scientists. All these three are right. Okay, ma? Right. Let's see our next topic. Radioactive disintegration constant lambda. We have already introduced this, right? So here we will discuss about the value of this radioactive disintegration constant. So what is the use of, or what is the need of studying this? It gives the ability of a nucleus to decay basing on the lambda value. So the decay constant for a given radioactive sample is defined as the reciprocal of the time during which the number of nuclei decreases to 1 by e times the original value. Now do you understand why I have calculated the time in the earlier? 1 by lambda into ln of n naught by n we have calculated. So that's what I am speaking about. So if what happens if n becomes n naught by e, so log e to the base e is 1 again. So that's what, isn't it or not? From this expression alone we have integrated and we have solved. Do you remember this? I'll show you the integration once again. This integration I am speaking about, t equal to 1 by lambda into ln of. So what happens if in the place of n I go for the substitution of n naught by e, 1 by e times no. So that's what, e cancels out, 1 by e no. So again ln to the base e ln e to the base e will be 1. So 1 by lambda. That's it, right? We are speaking about. So that defined as the reciprocal of the time during which the number of nuclei decays to 1 by e times of the original value. Now I told you, right, we will speak about this graph also here again. So now we will discuss in detail about all this. Okay, ma? Right. Now let's see that radioactive disintegration constant. Let's plot the graph once again. This along the x-axis we have the time, and along the y-axis we have taken n value. So from a maximum of n naught value, the value will keep on decreases. At a point the value becomes 2 1 by e n naught by e, this value is, while this is, you already know, it's n naught. N I have taken along y-axis, right, and this time or t, which we can call it as reciprocal of that. So 1 by lambda. We already solved this, right? Are we clear with this? Okay, ma? So the decay constant for a given radioactive sample is defined as reciprocal of time during which number of nuclei decreases to 1 by e times their original value. Okay, ma? Are we clear with this? Of course, you have already substituted this here, and you can notice here from this. Larger the value of lambda corresponds to decay in smaller time and vice versa. If lambda is large, decay will be in smaller. Disintegrating constant, right? So if that constant is more, obviously decaying will be very fast. And remember, lambda equal to 0 for stable nuclei. Shall I mention here? For stable nuclei, lambda equal to 0. Okay, ma? Right. Decay constant is a characteristic of the sample taken and does not vary with time. Remember that, because we don't have any concept of that. Okay, if a nuclei can decay simultaneously by more than one process, like parallel decay if it go for, then the decay constants will be lambda 1, lambda 2 and so on for each and every process. Then the effective will be given as lambda 1 plus lambda 2 plus lambda 3, just like in the activity we have seen, right? The same thing here also, and that what we call that kind of decay is called parallel decay. Okay, larger value of lambda, I will mention that larger value of lambda corresponds to decay in smaller time, and of course vice versa too, which is nothing but, and vice versa. Are we clear with this important point? Make a note of that. Are we clear with this, ma? Right. Let's look at the next topic, half-life period, or simply you can call it as half-life. Might be you might have came across in your chemistry, but we'll discuss about here also. As the name itself speaks about that, the half-life of a radioactive sample or the half-life is defined as the time interval during which the activity of a radioactive sample falls to half of its value, or the time required for the disintegration of half of the amount of the radioactive substance originally present. Whatever that substance you have taken, it has to become half of that. That time interval is nothing but we call it as half-life. So the time interval during which the number of radioactive nuclei of a sample disintegrate to half of its original number of nuclei is called half-life time. And half-life of an isotope will vary from one particular isotope to another. They won't be same for all. It will vary for all the kinds of the isotopes. And remember, this half-life will be as small as 10 power minus 16 second. It can be, I'll mention here, which is important, 10 power minus 16 second minimum, and it can be as large as 10 power 9 years too. 10 power 9 years it can be half-life. So it can be as small as 10 power minus 16 second, a very highly unstable, while 10 power 9 years very stable. After 10 power 9 years it go for the half-life, only half it will be. Are we clear with this? Okay ma. Now let's relate the decay constant and half-life period. Look here, we have already this relation, right? N equal to N naught equal to 1 by 2, which is e power minus lambda t. Since because you can ask me, sir, how we got this? It's nothing. N became N naught by 2. Initial was half of that, right? So if I go for that substitution, N by N naught will become 1 by 2. So 1 by 2 equal to e power minus lambda t. Can I write it as e power lambda t equal to 2? Now lambda t equal to log 2 base e. What is log 2 base e? 0.693. So t equal to 0.693 by lambda, or lambda equal to 0.693 by t. This is the relation which we are actually speaking about. Have you seen here? T is the capital T is the half-life, while lambda is the decay constant. So time t which material changes from N naught to N, so from initial to N, can be given as 3.23 into log to the base 10, converted this, okay, N naught to the base, of course. Number of atoms left behind after N half-lives, N equal to N naught of 1 by 2 whole to the power of N, or N equal to N naught of 1 by 2 whole to the power of T by capital T. Well, solving the problems anyway, we'll discuss about this once again, so no need to worry about that. Just go through this. Nothing. Instead of a straight away one half-life, I have considered N half-lives. After that, what it will be of? So obviously, right? Because after N half-lives, T became N times of capital T. So that's what I substituted. I will get obviously N naught by N equal to 2 power N, or N equal to N naught of 1 by 2 whole to the power of N. This is what I'm speaking about. While solving the problems, again I'll discuss about this, how we got the relation once again. No need to worry about that. Just substituted the value. Okay, isn't it or not? Right. Again, here also we can speak about parallel decay, because if the sample undergo for parallel decay lambda 1, lambda 2 and so on, then the equivalent half-life will be T1, T2 and so on Tn, and which we can write it as lambda equal to 1 by T, we got right. This is the constant, so 1 by T1 plus 1 by T2 and so on like. And remember, half-life is a characteristic property of the sample, and T cannot be changed by any known method. We cannot change any known method, which is like a known method refers to increasing temperature, pressure, all these kind. Whatever you do, we cannot. And at any time instant, whatever be the amount of undecayed sample, it will be reduced to exactly half of its value after a time equal to the half-life of the sample. So it should reach the half-life time period. Then alone, whatever the sample you consider, it will go to the half of that. It doesn't matter that if I consider large amount of quantity, it go for a half-life very fast, or if I consider a very small amount of quantity, it go for a very faster decay. It doesn't depends on all that. The moment when it reaches its half-life period, then alone the substance will go for the decaying to the half of that, or else we cannot. Are we clear with this? Okay ma? Right. Now let us see the equation, this one, N equal to N naught of 1 by 2 whole to the power of 1 by N, how we got, right? Let's see that. Suppose in a radioactive sample, when we consider in a radioactive sample, the number of nuclides undecayed after n half-lives, and number of nuclides undecayed after n half-lives. After n half-lives, that can be given as, sorry, after n half-lives. N half-lives, which we can give it as T equal to n into capital T. N half-lives. Capital T is half-life. Do you remember? And we have already calculated this T. Do you remember the equation? So what I can write down this 1 by lambda into ln of n naught by n. Right? You can equate this as n into ln of 2 by lambda. I am replacing this, equal to 1 by lambda into ln of n naught by n. Are we clear with this, ma? Right? Half-life formula is ln of 2 by lambda. Just now we have seen this. This is what I am writing. T equal to log to base e means ln of 2 by lambda. That's what I am substituting here. This formula I am substituting here. Okay. Now 1 by lambda cancels out, and what we can write down here in this? What we can write down? 2 power n is equal to n naught by n. Isn't it or not? ln of 2 will be left over with. Anyway, you know the formula, right? If we have like this, a ln of b will be nothing but log b to the power a. So it will become ln of 2 whole to the power of n. Ln cancels out. So 2 power n equal to n naught by n. And what we can write down from this, which implies n is equal to n naught 1 by 2 whole to the power of n. Or you can write it as 1 by 2 power n. Anyway, it's not a deal, right? 1 to the power of n anyway it will be. So for a particular format. Are we clear with this? Okay, ma? The number of nuclei remaining in the sample after half-life of period, which is nothing but t equal to 1 by 2 of t, which can be given as, which is nothing but n becomes what then after half-life? After half-life, n refers to number of half-lives, right? So n equal to 1 by 2, 1 half-life, 1 by 2 into t. What will be then? It can be given as n equal to what we can write down here, n naught 1 by 2 whole to the power of 1 by 2. Is it or not? So n equal to n naught by root 2. So the total number of nuclei remaining in the sample after half of half-life period. Half of half-life period. Now, are you getting the point here? Half of, oh, I have mentioned half-life, sorry. Half of half-life. In that situation, n equal to 1 by 2 for that case. So the number of nuclei remaining in the sample after half of half-life period will be nothing but n naught by root 2. Suppose if I consider n naught equal to 100, let's say suppose initially for the better understanding, if n naught equal to 100, what I can write down here, n becomes, what happens to n? That implies n will be nothing but 100 by root 2, which is 50 root 2. Is it not or not? 50 root 2, 70.7, 1.4, 50, 70.7. Okay, this means 70.7% of nuclei remains and 29.3% of nuclei decayed. That's it, right? These are number of nuclei, and capital N refers to number of nuclei present at that time. So 70.7% we got, which means 29.3% decayed. So 70.7% remaining after half a half-life, while 29.3% decayed. Are you getting the point here? 29.3% of the nuclei decayed. Now if we plot a graph, let me erase this so that we can continue the discussion. Okay, look here, if I plot the graph T versus n by n naught, look here, initially if there is one nuclei, n by n naught value wrote, so I will be left out with 1. So as the time passes on, it will be right. So when that became to half, 0.5, what we call that corresponding time? Half-life. Now half of this 0.25, and that is second half-life. Now from this to half of that 0.125, again will be left over. That's the third half-life. First half-life, second half-life, third half-life. So it keep on. So will be reduced, and subsequently for fourth half-life it will be around 0.0625. That's it, no? 0.0625. And remember this n by n naught, this value, the ratio n by n naught will be equal to m by m naught. Sir, what do you mean by this m by m naught? Where m naught is initial mass of radioactive element. Initial mass of radioactive element, of course, what we have taken. What about this m? Mass of the radioactive element after the decay time t. After the decay, mass of element after decay time. This is, don't confuse with this two. M naught is initial mass while m is, that's it, right? Number refers to that m. Now can I write down just like the similar in the previous, we have seen this, right? In this expression we got that n equal to n naught of 1 by 2 whole to the power of n. Similarly, now I can write down this to be like as they are equal. Now can I write it like m by m naught will be equal to 1 by 2 to the power of n, of course 1 by 2 whole to the power of n. Can I write down, where n is nothing but number of half-lives, n equal to number of half-lives, which you can write it as a small t by capital T, can be whatever. Okay, and if you want percentage, will be nothing but into 100, m by m naught into 100 will be 1 by 2 to the power of n whole to the power of n. Similarly, fraction of radioactive substance that undergoes decay can be given, and similarly percentage of radioactive substance that undergoes decay, which you can write it as a m naught minus m by m naught into 100 percentage, right? Can I write down fraction of radioactive substance that undergoes decay will be nothing but, so that can also I write down, which we can mention here, m naught minus m by m naught into 100%. Of course, respectively on the other side also it will vary if we go for that. Okay, fraction and as well as percentage also we can calculate from this. We are very familiar with this kind of the notation. In work per energy we have calculated the variation in the kinetic energies and all. Similar kind of percentage of increase, all this kind we can calculate. And higher level of the problems we have not much needed to worry about this. Are we clear with this, ma? Okay.